Perri, I like to think I have an African American soul, but I am a white guy.
Okay.
I'd like to think you adopt me.
All right, well, that's good enough for me. Have an African American soul. It's got attorney Richard Siebel on the line with us, and he's kind of made this his life's work to fight voter suppression in this country. And again, tell us more about your book, Counselor. Tell us a little bit more about your book.
Yes, thank you. It's Voting the Ultimate Act of Resistance on Amazon. And really what it's about is my battle against voter suppression at the polls and in the courtroom for decades. And I talk about how the police came for me in Philadelphia, a judge came at me in New Jersey, and everyone came after me in Florida. Because when you fight voter suppression, you are fighting a hand-to-hand combat battle.
All right. I can't imagine what that's like. Well, yeah, I can imagine. I'm a black woman, and I deal with that every day.
Every day.
Every day. So when you're doing this, what are the little nuances? When do you get the idea and understand that it is intentional, whatever it is that's being done?
Okay, so here's how we look at it as a lawyer. We call it disparate impact. Whether or not we can prove it's intentionally racist, we can certainly say that it adversely impacts black and brown people, so under the law, that's discrimination anyway. So we don't need to go to the next level. We think we know when it's intentional, but we don't have to prove that. But for me, I saw the first time I went out there to do this, it was clear as day that it was all black and brown people that were getting denied the right to vote, and I had a fight to restore it on the spot on Election Day, whether it was outside the polls by sending them back in with information or inside the courtroom arguing cases. It was just so apparent to me. I mean, if hundreds and hundreds of people, if it was one or two white people, it was a lot. It was unbelievable, but not unbelievable for people who've experienced it, obviously.
So, I look at this from a different perspective, too, because if they are this intentional as a police officer, as a judge, as a lawyer, imagine what they're doing to the black and brown people that come in front of them.
Oh, you could not be more right. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Like you say, this is just that one day, Election Day, what goes on in the system every day.
Every day.
Every day is the reason why we need everybody to vote, because we've got to turn our anger into action. We got to turn our ideas into laws. It's our best chance. Yes, it's long term, but we got to start somewhere.
How are we going to get these young people and this generation to the polls? I mean, they were out in full force last night in Kenosha, Wisconsin, after that shooting of Jacob Blake. That's who we need to get out. I mean, the people in the senior buildings, they're going to vote. How do we get to those people that have that rage and are willing to, to do anything with the exception of voting? I came across an article this morning, and in the article, it was in 2016 when he had won the election, when Donald Trump had won the election, and he was meeting with black civil rights leaders, and he had the nerve to say, the black voters not coming out, voter apathy in the black community. He really praised it. That's what they're betting on. So what do we do, Counselor, to get that generation out there to the polls?
Okay, Perri, what I think is we obviously have a lot of anger on the streets. We've got a lot of people exercising it out there. I think the young leaders in these marches and these protests should be setting up registration booths and passing out registration forms to everybody and telling everybody, we don't like who's there now. Get them out, get someone else in. We don't like them, get them out, get someone else in, because that is the only way it's going to change. Because, protests and marches are step one. and they raise the consciousness, and they have to be done, and they're terrific. But if we don't vote and we don't change the laws and get action done, we've got nothing. So I think the leaders, the young leaders themselves of these marches and protests, have to implore their peers, because you and I, they may not listen to, but their own age group, they may listen to and say, hey, we got to do something here, and voting is it right now.
All right, vote like democracy depended on it. Let's go to
because it does.
Right, vote like democracy depends on it. I was telling our listeners last week, I said they're sitting up there trying to get the last authoritarian leader in Europe out of office, and he refuses to go. Let's go to Karen. Karen, thanks for your call. Go right ahead.
Well, good morning. I just have to say this. We need to quit pushing voting. We need to get involved with policy, because it doesn't matter who's in office if we're not involved. It's just like when people go to church and call themselves getting saved. Oh, you saved. No, it's not. You need to go read. You need to change your life. And that's what's happened. It's just like walking up to the altar saying, oh, I throw myself to the altar and I'm going to be saved. It's more to this. So what I've been hearing.
So what is more? So what is the more, Karen?
We need to get involved with policy. We need to understand how America works. America is a business. It doesn't really matter who's in office if you're not involved in business. America is a business, and our people, black people, we've never been a part of it. So instead of telling us to go vote, and do what? The young people today are saying, what the heck are we voting for? We won the right to vote, and we've lost rights to everything else. So what is this big push about voting? No, get involved, understand how America works, understand business, and let's start becoming intelligent. That's when we wake up.
All right. I disagree with you, because I can't imagine not being able to vote. See, there are some countries, like I remember when they had the first presidential vote in South Africa. Those people walked for 8 hours, stood in line for 8 hours. I think that's our first line of defense, is voting. And I'll let you have the last word on that real quick, Attorney.
Yes, I would say to Karen, yes, we want to change policy, of course, but you've got to do it from the inside. And if you don't vote and you don't get people in there that you're going to have your ear, then it's not going anywhere.
All right, then. Well, tell our listeners again, what's the name of the book?
The name of the book is Voting, the Ultimate Act of Resistance. It's on Amazon.
All right. I look forward to talking to you again between now and November 3rd. Keep up the good work and the good fight.
Thank you. Always here for you, Perri. Thank you.